Okay, in this video I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to tackle the silver spoon. Um, as I did in the last video, we went ahead and we drew the rough outline and the shadow outline of the spoon, so the actual spoon, and then right here. If you would like to, and if it helps, you could also draw the contour lines, so right in here. The contour lines would be basically wherever that spoon kind of like lands. So if this is where the darker shadow starts, and then right here we start to see it kind of like, and then we can go in and we can kind of start drawing that area. Right here, this is where that darker shadow is for the most part. Okay, then we see that the highlight is about right here. And then everything else around there is going to be a mid-tone. And then over here it's also going to be a bit of a mid-tone. We know that this right here is going to be really dark. It's that shadow. And so if it helps you to kind of draw the contour lines of the reflections of the shadows, you can also include that. I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually going to start by coloring in the shadow underneath the spoon. So I'm going in with a lot of pressure, well, a lot more pressure. We always want to start with the darkest shadows. And as you know, any shadows directly beneath objects, those are always going to be the darkest shadows. So right here. And then I'm going to go in by pointing my pencil. I'm just going to darken right here, right on the edge of the spoon, because that's typically where it's going to be the darkest. Then I'm just going out and I'm coloring a bit more. Okay. And so, in fact, we're going to slightly erase right there. And so right now we have a bit of this shadow here. It's actually a little bit thicker here. Mine looks a little bit thinner, so I'm going to go in and I'm going to make this slightly thicker there, just so that it's matching a little bit more. And then right here, it actually seems like it might be straighter. And so there is that first shadow, okay? And I am going to turn off this side light that I have so that we can kind of see it better. Okay, so we can kind of see that. And so now from here, we're going to go ahead and we're going to start adding the shadow from this side here. Okay, so from here, we're going to go ahead and we're going to start adding this shadow. It's super dark, so we can go in with a lot of pressure. I'm going to go in with a lot of pressure here. Okay, I'm leaving this little edge right here for this. In fact, we kind of see that it kind of curves, so I might actually curve this out a little bit more with an eraser a little bit later. So right here, we're going to go in. Right here, we're going to go super, super close. Then everything right here is kind of a mid-tone. So I'm going in with less pressure. I'm going to start rounding it here so that it looks more natural. Okay. Over here, I'm going to go ahead, start adding a whole bunch of pressure here as well. And I like to move my paper around a lot while I'm doing this. It just helps me kind of get all of the areas the way that I like. So again, this is going to be that intersection. Okay. It looks like right here, this is actually going to be more curved in. So we might grab a eraser, a super thin eraser. I only have a thicker eraser right now, so I'm going to do a whole lot more erasing. And instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my shadow like this to kind of round it out. So I'm creating that roundness by kind of adding that shadow here. And then okay. And I can even bring this out a little bit more if I wanted to. So we can bring this out slightly this way. And then all we would have to do is re-include that shadow here. Everything else here is just a light gray, so if you wanted to, you can even go in very light gray. This. And then from here, I'm going in. And then right here, we're going to add a little bit more. And this area here is like the darkest. This is the darkest area. It gets pretty dark here in this area too. And right here we see a slight highlight. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to build that in by adding just a darker shadow right here on that edge. Okay. There it is. Okay, so it went this way. Then we're going to see a slight highlight over here. So this one's going to be real thin. Okay. And then from here we can start the first part of the blending process. And so you guys could use the blending materials provided in class. I have my blending stump, so I'm going to use this. And then I'm just going in and I'm going to start smudging out all of that graphite we just included. All of it right here. Concentrating that first in the darker areas. And then going in really lightly. On these other areas. And because this one is wider, I can actually bring my eraser back and start widening it. And then if I need to go in and fix anything, I can just use the residue that's already on. There. Then we can go in here. Over here we can see a little bit of shadow, so we're able to see this edge and this edge. So we're going in. There's actually a highlight right here, so we're bringing it back. And if we use a corner from our erasers, it might actually get it a nice sharp. Up here there's a highlight, so we're going to go in. We're going to draw the edge again.